Hello, everyone. This is our final scheduled interview. We are with Paige Ashlynn, and they are a game developer who has worked on dozens of games, and which is really exciting. So, can you just sort of tell us, how did you start getting into developing games?
Yeah. So actually, I have a very atypical story. Well, like a lot of people are like, oh, I wanted to do games ever since I was a little kid. But in my case, I kind of came in kicking and screaming. At first, I got out of high school and I was like, I'm going to work outdoors. I'm going to be like a wildland firefighter, or I'm going to work on a farm. And I did both of those things. I was like, this isn't for me. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to computer program because that's the other thing I'm good at. But I'm not doing games. And I tried like every kind of programming that I could do, and none of it, like everything I thought I was going to be interested in, I didn't enjoy it. And then I was taking a college course or series of courses where they had a capstone requirement, and there were several different options for what kind of capstone you could do. And there was one that was like a game development project. It was year long, and you worked on a team of like 15 or so people, and you made like a product that would actually go up for sale at the end of it. And it just looked so much more interesting than anything else I'd done in college. So I did it, and I immediately fell in love because I was like, I mean, I love programming, but I don't get along with most coders. And just like being able to work on a daily basis with like artists and writers and musicians and marketing people, like I really found that I thrived in this environment that's sort of intrinsically multidisciplinary.
Right.
So yeah, I fell in love with it, and I decided I wanted to stay doing independent stuff for as long as possible, because basically for that same reason, if you go work at a big AAA company, then you can end up just talking to programmers all day. And I like working on a team where I get to know the people from all the different aspects of the development process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So what kind of projects have you been working on recently?
So for about the last 7 months, I've been working on porting a game called Long Story that was released a few years ago on iOS and Android to desktop. So it'll be coming out on PC and Mac. Probably later this month, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't.
How do you have time to be here?
Well, it's just over the weekend. So actually, one of the things I love about the company that I've been working for is that the whole company has a very strict sort of policy about a good work-life balance.
Great.
So what they consider a full-time week is 30 hours. Which is like the extreme opposite of most of the industry, where they're
and
like
New York City in general.
Well, and so the company's based out of Toronto.
Oh, well, great.
Yeah,
Canada always doing things right.
Right. So I've just loved being part of this team. Yeah.
Great. So what kind of advice would you give someone who might be wanting to get into programming or developing games? And you talked about the multidisciplinary aspect. What should someone in 2017, 2018 be looking to showcase in order to get in?
Well, I think there's different specifics depending on what part of game development you want to go into. But in general, I think one piece of advice that, people told me, 10 years ago that's still absolutely true today is that finishing any project is basically the best thing you can do. Like, whether you're going to be working on like a small indie team of 3 people or working, in a giant studio of thousands of people, you're probably not going to have the skills you need when you show up. Even if you get out of a very good, college games program, you're going to have some of the skills you need, but there's a lot that you're going to learn on the job. And they can teach you those skills, but what they can't teach you is sort of the... what's the right word? Like
Discipline?
Yeah, or tenacity that it takes to just be like, because oftentimes the first 70% of the project is a lot of fun, and then you get to the end and it's not fun anymore. And then there's also like, it's a double whammy, because it's like oftentimes you'll be like, the last 10% is really 90% of the work. Like there's, especially in the indie world, there's the this phenomena of people thinking that they're 6 months from release for about 18 months. So having anything, even like a small little, like if you can't make a full game, you know, do a demo reel of all your songs. Like, you know, I have musician friends that have done soundtracks for games that don't exist. Or, you know, if you're an animator, do walk cycles. If you're a coder, then code up like a little puzzle game or something that you can do on your own. And I think that's the best thing. The best single piece of advice that I can give.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So let's just switch gears a little bit. I know that you're going to be doing a panel this weekend. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm one member of a panel discussion about game mechanics and mental health. So a lot of discussion that around mental health and games has focused either on sort of the content of the games, like the kinds of stories that games tend to tell, or in like the community around the games. But we felt we'd like to discuss the way certain mechanics may impact on your mental well-being. I think what originally spawned the idea is the experience that some of the other panelists had playing Lady Killer in a Bind, which has this interesting conversational system where, as the conversation is progressing, different you have an option that will come up to say a different line of dialogue, but it's very time bound because you can only say it while it's relevant to the conversation that's unfolding. And people who had social anxiety found that very difficult to deal with. So we're going to be talking about different mechanics that were designed not with mental health in mind, but that inadvertently either had like a positive or negative effect on certain players.
Right. Great. Yeah, that's something that definitely needs to be talked about.
I think it's an interesting topic. So great.
Is there anything that any website or anything that you'd like to plug or let us know about?
Well, I have a personal website. It's my last name, ASHLYNN.info. And it's basically just, you can see the list of all the games that I've worked on, at least all the significant ones that I've worked on. The other thing, I'll give a shout out to itch.io. It's my favorite distribution platform, and if you haven't checked it out, I think you should. That's about it.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your weekend to chat with us, and I know that you need to prepare for your panel later, so please go ahead and do that, and hopefully the rest of the weekend goes as brilliantly as our conversation.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.